Welcome back to Peer-Guided DBT Lessons, provided by DBT Skills application, Peers Helping Peers. This week's lesson, marked 4-2 in our Interpersonal Effectiveness module, we'll be examining Part 1 of Factors that Reduce Interpersonal Effectiveness. Please keep in mind that we're simply peers helping peers, working together to bring about more peaceful, constructive, and ultimately happier lives. In other words, a life worth living. Here we have some factors reducing interpersonal effectiveness. What gets in the way of you getting what you want or need? What gets in the way of you getting or keeping a healthy, enriching relationship? And what gets in the way of you communicating in a way that increases your self-respect? Your answers are the factors that get in the way of effective interpersonal skills. Here are some common factors reducing interpersonal effectiveness. Number 1. Lack of skills. Number 2, dominant emotional mind. Number 3, environment. Number 4, poorly defined values. Number 5, poorly defined effectiveness goals. Number 6, indecisiveness. Number 7, worry thoughts triggered by myths. Now let's take a closer look at these factors that reduce interpersonal effectiveness. Number 1, lack of skills. You don't know how to effectively communicate your thoughts. You don't know what to do or say to achieve your objectives. You don't know which type of skill to use for the results you desire. Number 2, dominant emotional mind. Your effectiveness objectives become less the focus as your emotional desires and reactions increase. Your ability to communicate effectively is clouded by your emotions. You know the skills needed for interpersonal effectiveness and the ability to use them, but your emotions make it difficult to do or say what you know works. Number 3, environment. Some characteristics of an environment can create difficulties, making it hard for even the most skilled person to be interpersonally effective. For example, the location of the interaction, the timing of the interaction, the position of authority the other party or parties holds, the reaction of others. Some people desire others not to get the things they want or need. Others may feel threatened by your success. They may fear how losing control of you will affect them. Some people just like to watch others suffer. Others may not let you say no without punishing you in some way. Number 4, poorly defined values. If you are not clear on what your strongest personal values are, it is very difficult to define interpersonal priorities that fit your values. What things are so important to you that you are not willing to negotiate or sacrifice? Number 5, poorly defined effectiveness goals. What is your goal with this relationship? In other words, objective, relationship, or self-respect? Which is most important to you, long-term or now? Long-term, this specific encounter? Number 6, indecisiveness. You may have the ability, but your own indecision stops your effectiveness. How can you get what you want until you know what you want? And number 7, worry thoughts triggered by myths. Maybe you know exactly what you want and you know what to say and do in order to be effective, but are just too anxious to act on it. Those old worry thoughts and past habits that were created by your belief in personal myths can come creeping back into your mind. Those thoughts can increase emotions about your situation that can interfere with your comfort in saying and doing what you want. Without the ability to make stories, we could not process the world or function properly. We want to take care, though, that our stories are always evolving and taking into account new discoveries and distinctions. Mankind was stuck for a long time telling itself that the Earth was the center of the universe. What equally absurd stories are we telling ourselves now? When we honestly question what we know about ourselves and the world, we typically find that our deepest assumptions are nothing more than a story we've been telling ourselves about how the world works. It ain't so much the things we don't know that get us into trouble. It's the things we do know that just ain't so. Mark Twain. If ignorance of the facts is a great aid to belief in myths, then discovery of the facts logically is the best myth breaker. What do we discover about the common myths that often reduce interpersonal effectiveness when they are checked with the facts? Number 1, saying no to a request tells others that I am a selfish person. Number 2, I should be willing to sacrifice my own needs for others. Number 3, I don't deserve to get what I want or need. Number 4, it doesn't make a difference. I don't really care. Number 5, obviously the problem is just in my head. If I would just think differently, I wouldn't have to bother anybody else. Number 6, making requests is a really pushy thing to do. Number 7, I must be totally inadequate if I can't fix this myself. Number 8, I have to know whether a person is going to say yes before I make a request. Number 9, I can't stand it if someone gets upset with me. Number 10, if I make a request, this will show that I am a very weak person. What other myths that have held you back can you think of? Let's take a look at some cheerleading fact statements for interpersonal effectiveness. Number 1, I can be a good person but still insist that my rights are met. Number 2, I have the right to assert myself some of the time, even if it is not convenient for others. Number 3, my thoughts and opinions are just as valid as those of others. Number 4, if others choose not to be assertive, this does not mean that I shouldn't choose assertiveness in my interactions. Number 5, I can ask someone for what I want while being able to understand and validate them at the same time. Number 6, it is normal and acceptable to want or need something from another person. Number 7, it is my choice if I ask someone for something I want or need. Number 8, if a request I make is denied, this does not mean I should not have bothered to ask. Number 9, while I may not like it, I am able to tolerate not getting what I want or need. Number 10, I want to please people I care about, but it is not good for either them or me to try to please them all the time. Continuing with number 11, if I don't successfully obtain my objectives, it doesn't reflect on my skill effectiveness. Number 12, it is important that I take care of myself, Giving too much will just leave me with nothing to give. 13. I can deny a request and still like the person who asked. If it is someone I care about, they will likely understand that it is not a rejection of them. Number 14. I am not obligated to agree to do something for another person just because they ask. Number 15. Saying no to a request does not mean that I am selfish. Number 16. If someone gets angry because I told them no, it does not mean I should have said yes. Number 17. Only I know where I need to stand my ground. And number 18. Even if my choices inconvenience others, I can still feel good about myself. Be sure to check out the video description in the comments below. You'll find a link to the website lesson that accompanies this video. You will also find links to the handouts and worksheets created to complement this video. And while you're there, if you found this video helpful, be sure to like it. On behalf of Tasha and myself and our awesome peer-guided DBT lesson staff, we want to thank you for being a part of our video series. Next week, we'll be looking at Interpersonal Effectiveness Module 4-1, Part 2, Myth Breakers. We hope you'll join us then.